I was about to close on our dream house when my fiancée refused to sell her apartment to support me, calling it her backup plan if we ever separated. So I said the house would be in my name only, and she spiraled. I 32 male engaged, or was engaged to Marissa, 30 female. We've been together 4 years, engaged for 8 months, and the wedding was supposed to be in 3. On paper, everything looked solid. She was already Pinterest boarding kitchens, outdoor decks, and those cheesy live laugh wall signs. Her friends were hyping her up like we were about to build the next HGTV feature home. And honestly, I was in. I'd found this place the forever home, as she called it. A 3-bedroom with a huge backyard and an office I had already mentally converted into my cycling gear cave. It wasn't cheap, but it was doable. I put in an offer, and our realtor Karen told me we were close. Basically, if I upped it by a bit, we'd land it. So we're at this nice restaurant, our go-to spot, and I figure this is going to be one of those celebratory nights. I bring up the seller countering our offer. If we go up another 50 grand, we're set. I tell her, easy. That's when she does this little swirl with her glass, leans in like she's about to reveal some grand wisdom and goes, "So I've been thinking about living arrangements after the wedding." Cool. I think this is the part where she talks about furniture shopping or which side of the bed she wants. Instead, she drops, "I've decided I'm keeping my apartment." I pause, fork halfway to my mouth. "As a rental property?" I ask. She shakes her head. "No, just to keep for me." I laugh because I assume she's joking. "Wait, what?" She tilts her head like she's explaining math to a toddler. "Look, statistics show a lot of marriages don't work out. I'm just being practical. I'll keep paying rent on my place, just in case things don't work out between us." I set my fork down, just in case I repeat. "Don't take it personal," she says. All calm. It's like insurance. You don't expect your car to crash, but you still pay for coverage, right? Now here's where most guys would probably get emotional, start arguing, or feel betrayed. Me. I smiled, nodded slowly, and said, "Clever move." She lit up like I just agreed to adopt a puppy. "I knew you'd understand. So you'll call Karen tomorrow about increasing the offer?" "Absolutely," I said. But inside I was already done with that house. Because here's the thing. If the person you're about to marry is already planning their escape route, why the hell would you hand them the keys to a brand new house you're supposed to build a future in? I played it cool though, didn't even flinch. If she wanted to run the marriage like a business contract, fine. But businesses have balance sheets and risk consequences. And I wasn't about to be the only idiot investing while she kept an emergency exit fully furnished. I'll admit, driving home that night, my brain was on fire. Every little moment in our relationship suddenly looked different. All those times she insisted on splitting certain bills or keeping her finances separate or brushing off my talk about merging accounts. It wasn't independence. It was a strategy. She wasn't investing in us. She was investing in her plan B. That night, while she was sending her friends excited texts about our forever house, I sat down at my desk and started making my own plan. I wasn't about to confront her right then. Too easy for her to spin it, play the victim, maybe even double down. I was going to mirror her. She wanted insurance. She'd get insurance. The difference is, mine was going to pay off. I thought about it like chess. She moved her pawn forward, announcing her backup plan like it was some genius revelation. My next move wasn't to knock it over. It was to slide my knight into a position where she wouldn't see it coming. I already knew exactly what to do. Tomorrow, first thing I'd call Karen and tell her thanks, but no thanks. The house was off the table, and instead of tying myself to a mortgage where I'd be paying while Marissa kept her escape hatch, I'd make a different kind of move. Not emotional, not dramatic, just practical, smart even. The same word she used, except I actually meant it. That night, Marissa fell asleep next to me while scrolling through furniture inspect boards. All smiles and dreams of a house she thought was still in play. And me, I just lay there thinking, you want to hedge your bets? Cool. But don't be surprised when I hedge mine too. Because here's the thing about playing games like that in relationships. Once you tip your hand, you don't get to control the board anymore. And she had no clue I was about to flip the whole damn board upside down. The next morning, while Marissa was still asleep, I called Karen, our realtor. She answered, sounding chipper like she already expected me to say, "Yeah, we'll up the offer. Let's lock this down." Instead, I hit her with, "Hey Karen, thanks for all your work, but go ahead and pull our offer." Plans changed. Silence. Then wait. What, Darren? You were literally one counter away from locking in the house. The sellers would accept. What happened? Did the inspection? No inspection problem. Just reconsidered my options. She pressed me a couple more times, but I didn't budge. Finally, she sighed. "Well, all right then. If you change your mind, I won't." I cut her off. "Appreciate you, though." Hung up. Done. Just like that, the dream house was dead. While Marissa was dreaming of picking paint swatches, I was moving on. I called my old college buddy Travis, who manages a bunch of properties. "You still got that downtown condo available?" I asked. He replied, "The one with the office and the rooftop gym." "Yeah, but I thought you were buying a house with Marissa. Change of plans. Can I see it today?" 2 hours later, I'm standing in this modern downtown condo. One bedroom, one office, open floor plan balcony with a skyline view. Clean, simple, not family material, but perfect for a guy who doesn't want dead weight attached to him. Travis raised an eyebrow. "You're serious?" I smirked. "Serious enough to sign today." And I did. Paperwork, deposit, the whole 9 yards. Boom. Paid for in full. No strings attached. My name only. Unlike the house Marissa wanted, this wasn't a liability. It was an asset, something I could live in now, rent later, build equity. Meanwhile, she'd be bleeding rent money every month to keep her insurance plan. Luckily, Travis had the place vacant and turnkey, so paperwork and keys happened same day. By the time I carried the first box in, I already felt lighter. I set up my office with my dual monitors, mounted my bike rack in the spare space, stocked the fridge with actual food I liked. The building had a secure garage, a rooftop lounge, and even a gym that overlooked the city. Honestly, it felt like a bachelor upgrade, not a downgrade. The whole place screamed independence. No floral pillows, no Pinterest color palettes, no future nursery, just my space, my rules. Later that evening, Marissa called on her lunch break. Her tone was all excited. "Hey babe, did you talk to Karen about the counteroffer I did? And are we getting the house?" I leaned back in my new chair, staring at my view of the city lights. "Actually, I withdrew the offer." Silence. "Then you what?" "Why?" I replied. "Well, I got inspired by what you said last night about being practical, smart planning, so I went ahead and bought a condo instead. Perfect size for me." "You bought a condo?" Her voice went shrill. "By yourself?" "Where am I supposed to live after the wedding?" I shrugged, even though she couldn't see me. "In your apartment. The one you're keeping, remember, just in case." She suddenly snapped. "That's ridiculous. I'm keeping it as backup, not as our home. We're supposed to live together in a house." "Oh, see, I thought you meant you wanted to live in it. My mistake." She went quiet for a few seconds, then came back with, "This isn't funny, Darren. You're being petty." "I'm being practical," I said calmly. "You opened my eyes to the statistics. Makes sense to protect myself too." 20 minutes later, she was banging on my new condo door. Hair frizzed from rushing over, still in her work clothes. She barged in the moment I opened. "We need to talk about this misunderstanding." I crossed my arms. "What misunderstanding?" "This." She gestured wildly around the condo. "The house, the condo. You buying this place behind my back? You're twisting what I said." And I sat on the couch, motioned at her spreadsheets of anger. "You said you wanted to keep your apartment for security. I said that made sense, so I got security of my own. That's not how it works. I keep my place as backup, but we live in the house together, so you'd be paying rent on your empty apartment while also paying half a mortgage. Doesn't sound fair." Her face went red. "I wasn't going to pay half the mortgage. You make more money." I laughed. "Ah, there it is. So I'd be paying the mortgage while you tiptoe to your backup apartment if things go south. Sound about right." She froze. Didn't even try to deny it. That told me everything. "Marissa," I said, leaning forward, "partnership means we're in this together. But you don't want a partnership. You want security for yourself, and I'm not signing up for that." She opened and closed her mouth like a fish gasping on land, then finally snapped, "You're impossible," and stormed toward the door. As the door clicked behind her, I couldn't help but grin. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I was finally driving the car instead of sitting in the passenger seat while someone else took me for a ride. She thought she was clever, keeping her apartment as insurance. But all she really did was give me permission to play the same game, except I was playing it smarter, and this was just the opening move. Marissa wasn't quiet for long. The following week, she went into full spin mode. Suddenly, every conversation in her orbit started with "Darren's just nervous. He's having cold feet. We're working through it." She told her friends, her coworkers, even her aunt who lives 3 states away. She didn't mention the part about keeping her apartment like a parachute. No, she painted it like I'd woken up one day and decided to self-sabotage. First wave came through her mom, Claudine. She called me on a Tuesday night, voice dripping with that fake sweet tone older women use when they're about to guilt trip you. "Darren, sweetheart," she said. "What's this? I hear about a condo, a bachelor condo." "It's called a property, Claudine," I answered flatly. Yes, I bought one in my name. But what about the wedding? Where will you two live? Marissa tells me you've withdrawn from the house. She's keeping her apartment. I cut in. She was very clear about that. A long pause. Then she sighed. Oh, you're misunderstanding her. She didn't mean it that way. She literally said it that way. I said, you don't call it insurance unless you're planning on a crash. That ended the call quick. Claudine had no comeback when faced with her daughter's own words. The second wave came from Marissa herself. She showed up one evening carrying her laptop bag, acting like she was about to close a corporate deal. She set up shop at my kitchen island and flipped the screen toward me. I've done the math, she announced. On the screen were spreadsheets labeled projected mortgage splits and security fund. She had everything color-coded. According to her, if we bought the dream house, she could cover 25% of the mortgage while I covered 75%. Her excuse, she'd still be paying rent on her apartment, so it balanced out. I scrolled through her little cells and formulas, eyebrows raised. She'd literally built a line item called Marissa Security Net. Let me get this straight, I said. I cover the majority of a mortgage plus the full down payment while you keep throwing money into an empty apartment in case you need a soft landing. And you think this is fair? She pointed at the screen. See, with my income and my rent, it's actually a balanced split. I leaned back and smirked. Balanced. Only in the same way me spotting you at the gym while you don't even touch the bar is balanced. Her face tightened. This is a compromise, Darren. I'm trying to make it work. I stood, grabbed a notepad from my counter, and scribbled down my own plan. Handed it to her. It read, both keep separate places. After 1 year of marriage, if everything's good, we shop for a house together. If not, no one gets screwed. She scanned it like I'd handed her divorce papers. A year newlyweds don't live separately, Darren. That's not how marriage works. Then give up the apartment, I said simply. I can't. What if something happens? Then I guess you've answered your own question. She slammed the laptop shut and stormed out. The spreadsheet stayed behind. I tossed them in the recycling bin. The third wave hit me at the gym 2 days later. I just finished a set when I turned around and found myself cornered by 3 of her friends, Talia, Kendra, and Noelle. They looked like a jury standing by the water fountain with arms crossed. Talia started. Darren, we need to talk. You're ruining Marissa's life over nothing. Kendra chimed in. She's just being smart. Everyone knows women need a safety net. Men can change any moment. Noelle folded her arms tighter. She cries every night. You're being cruel. I leaned back, smirked, and tapped the bottle on the table. Cute logic? So she gets a backup plan, but I'm supposed to be the clown funding it. Tell me where's my parachute if she bails? Who's stacking an apartment for me just in case? Oh wait. Me. I bought my own place with my own money. Her safety net. It only works if I buy her a house while she hides a spare key somewhere else. That's not security. That's me being played. They exchanged glances, clearly not expecting me to flip it. That's different, Talia muttered. Different how? Because I'm a guy. So let me get this right. I pay for the house. She pays rent for an apartment she doesn't even live in. And I'm the jerk for not calling that fair. Silence. They didn't have a response. I smiled, patted Kendra on the shoulder as I walked past. Tell Marissa I said thanks for the spreadsheets. They really brightened my recycling bin. By the time I left the gym, I could already picture the group chat they were starting about me. Didn't matter, I wasn't losing sleep. Later that week, Travis, my groomsman buddy, swung by the condo. He'd heard Marissa's version and wanted to hear mine. We sat on the balcony, city lights in the background, and I laid it out straight. The apartment, the insurance talk, the spreadsheets, the whole thing. When I finished, he whistled low. So basically, she wanted a marriage where you carried all the risk and she carried none. Exactly, I said. And she really thought you'd just nod and play along? I grinned. She mistook me for a doormat. Bad red. Travis laughed and shook his head. Man, I'm glad you're on my side of the aisle. And that was the thing. Every time someone came at me with guilt trips or half-baked logic, all I had to do was hold up a mirror. Their arguments collapsed under their own weight. Marissa wanted to frame this as me panicking about commitment when in reality, I was the only one acting committed. She'd already left a foot out the door. They called me stubborn. I called it even. And deep down, I knew this was just the beginning. The condo was barely furnished when I snapped the first picture. Nothing fancy. Couch, coffee table, the city skyline glowing through the windows. I posted it on Instagram with one line, simple place, perfect fit for me. Didn't take long. Within 10 minutes, likes and comments started stacking up. People assumed it was a bachelor flex, which wasn't far off, but I knew exactly what it would do. It had land right in Marissa's feed like a grenade. It didn't even take an hour before my phone lit up. Not a call this time, but pounding at my door. I opened it to find Marissa standing there, flanked by her mom Claudine and her sister Sabrina. All three marched in like they owned the place. Marissa's face was flushed. "What the hell is this, Darren? Perfect for me? Are you trying to humiliate me?" Claudine stepped in before I could answer. "Sweetheart," she caught herself corrected. "Darren, be reasonable. You're engaged. She made one small request and now you're acting like a child buying this condo." I leaned against my counter, arms folded. Small request. She literally called it insurance for when we split. I just took her advice. Practical, right? Sabrina rolled her eyes. You're twisting her words. She just wanted security. Exactly. I said for herself, not for us. Big difference. Marissa stomped closer. Stop making me sound selfish. I just wanted to protect myself in case you ever left me. Funny, I said. Because from where I'm standing, you already left. You just wanted me to finance your safety net while you planned the escape. Quick pause, fellas. YouTube just dropped this new hype feature. If you're hooked on this story, smash that hype button. It tells YouTube this video deserves to blow up, and it keeps even crazier stories coming your way. Thanks so much for your support. All right, back to the drama. She went quiet, lip trembling. But Sabrina wasn't done. This is financial abuse. You're trying to control her with money. I laughed by buying my own property with my own money while she's the one keeping a backup apartment. That's some wild gymnastics. Claudine raised a hand like she was calming a boardroom. Darren, just buy the house. Forget the condo. Get back on track. This is all some silly misunderstanding. No misunderstanding here, I said, opening my phone and pointing at Marissa's own text from weeks earlier just in case. Her exact words. They stared at it. Nobody had a comeback. Eventually, Claudine muttered something about me being stubborn and they stormed out. I thought that was the end of the day's drama. I was wrong. That evening, Karen the realtor called me. She was half laughing when I picked up. Darren, you're not going to believe this. Marissa just called me. Oh, I believe it. I said, what did she want? She asked if the house was still available. Is it? No, it's sold by Friday. You pulled your offer on Monday, and the sellers accepted another by the weekend, she continued. But here's the thing. She asked if she could buy it herself. She told me you two were restructuring your financial arrangement, and she wanted to know about first-time buyer programs with low-down payments. I chuckled. Let me guess. She also wanted to use the deposit I already put down. Karen's voice dropped. Exactly. She asked if your earnest money could roll over since you made the original offer. I leaned back in my chair laughing. We're not even married and she's already trying to use my money solo. Karen sighed. I told her earnest money is legally tied to the buyer on the contract. It can't just be reassigned to her. The second I explained that, she hung up on me. I thanked her and hung up, shaking my head. It wasn't just about an apartment anymore. Marissa wasn't hedging her bets. She was angling to cut me out while keeping the benefits. She wanted the dream house tied to my wallet, but secured in her name. The next day, she showed up again, calmer this time, like she'd rehearsed. She sat down at my counter, smoothed her skirt and said, Look, maybe you could just move into my apartment while we figure out a better place together. Then you could sell this condo. I laughed out loud. So let me get this straight. I sell a condo I own, move into an apartment you rent while you keep your so-called backup plan alive. Do you hear yourself? Her smile cracked. You're making this so hard. No, Marissa, I said, standing. You made it hard the second you decided partnership meant me covering everything while you planned an exit. I just decided not to play that game. She didn't stay long after that, just another storm out, heels clicking down the hall. I shut the door behind her and stood there for a second, realizing something important. She thought she was the smart one, the planner, the one with the safety net. But in reality, she was scrambling. I was the one holding the cards now, and I had no intention of folding. Marissa must have sensed she was losing ground because the very next move she pulled wasn't subtle at all. Out of nowhere, my phone started blowing up with confused relatives and coworkers asking me about our new address. At first, I thought someone got wires crossed. Then my mom called, sounding panicked. Darren, what's going on? Your aunt just called me. She got an invitation to the wedding with a house address. A house I thought you told me you bought a condo. I frowned. What address? She read it out loud and my jaw clenched. It was the dream house, the same house I'd pulled our offer on. She printed new invitations, I muttered. So apparently Marissa went behind my back and sent updated ones. She's pretending we own a house that was sold weeks ago. My mom groaned. 1 month before the wedding, Darren. People are going to be asking questions. Good, I said. Maybe they'll start asking the right ones. I hung up furious but not surprised. That's how Marissa operated. Image first, reality later. If reality didn't fit, she just manufactured one. And she didn't stop there. Within days, I started getting calls from wedding vendors. The venue manager rang me up about a deposit. The photographer emailed me a payment reminder. Even the caterer called asking to confirm the head count and, more importantly, who was covering the bill. I cut them all off with the same line. If my name's on anything, take it off. If it's not, make a note. I'm not responsible. Marissa signed it. That's between you and her. One guy, the photographer, actually sighed in relief. Honestly, I figured something was off. She told me you'd be transferring the money weeks ago, but it didn't sound like it came from you. Thanks for clarifying. I laughed. No problem. Consider yourself free. It was like pulling the rug out from under her little fantasy castle. Every vendor that called, I yanked my name off the paperwork and left her holding the bag. Then came the lowest stunt. I got home one night, checked my mailbox, and found a thick envelope. Inside, loan documents, mortgage application papers. My name typed neatly at the top as the primary borrower. My stomach turned as I skimmed it. She had filled out the details, income, employment history almost perfectly. Almost. She'd signed where my signature was supposed to be. My phone buzzed right on cue. It was Marissa. Her voice was chipper, like she just solved world hunger. Guess what? I found a solution. We don't even need the dream house anymore. I applied for a smaller one. Cheaper, easier payments. You can afford it on your own, and once we're married, it'll all work out. You started a loan application in my name, I asked slowly. It's not fraud, Darren, she said quickly. We're getting married. What's yours is mine. This is just the next step. Not fraud. I held the papers in my hand. Marissa, this is literally criminal. You forged my signature. Stop twisting everything. I was trying to save us. This is how couples build their future. Don't act like you're some victim. I laughed bitter. Victim number. Just the guy whose fiancé is signing his name on bank documents like it's monopoly money. Her tone dropped sharp now. If you don't sign those papers for real, I'll have no choice but to tell people you're financially abusive, that you're trying to make me homeless. I stared at the papers, then at the condo around me. My condo bought with my money in my name. The irony nearly made me choke. You already have an apartment, I said flatly. You're not homeless, you're just greedy. That's not the point, she snapped. It's exactly the point. You keep screaming about security, but the only security you want is mine. You won't risk a dime of your own. You want me locked into a mortgage while you keep your escape hatch warm. Darren. No. I cut her off. Enough. If you need a house in order to marry me while you still keep your apartment, then we shouldn't be getting married at all. Silence, then a shaky laugh. You can't call my bluff like that. I smiled even though she couldn't see me. I just did. The line went dead. I threw a fraud alert on my credit right away, then shredded the crap she mailed me. That night, I sat on my balcony, city lights stretching out in front of me, and realized something important. Every move she made, every fake invitation, every forged document, it all screamed the same thing. Marissa didn't want marriage. She wanted a contract where I carried all the weight and she kept her parachute. She thought she was playing me, but all she'd done was prove I was right to pull the plug before she had the chance to trap me. And if she thought that was the end of it, she hadn't seen anything yet. A few days after the loan stunt, the drama spilled online. Sabrina, her sister, must have gotten a little too cozy with a bottle of self-righteousness because she blasted a Facebook post aimed squarely at me. My sister deserves better than a man who won't even buy her a house. Darren is trash. She just wanted to feel safe, and he turned it into a circus. It got traction fast. Her little circle of friends chimed in, hearts and sympathy comments rolling in like it was some Lifetime movie. But then the cracks started showing. One of Marissa's own friends, Talia, commented, "Girl, I told you to wait until after the wedding to tell him about keeping the apartment. You rushed it." Then Kendra should have just let him buy the house first, then bring it up. Timing was off. And my personal favorite from Noelle. "This is why you don't date men who think equality goes both ways." The mask slipped right there in the comments. They weren't arguing that she didn't plan for an exit. They were mad that she told me too early. Anyone paying attention could see the whole scam unravel. I didn't have to say much. I screenshotted the thread, sent it privately to a few family members who'd been asking questions, and let Marissa's own support squad expose her, but she wasn't done swinging. The very next day, Victor, her dad, showed up at my condo. I'd never seen a man look more like he was about to scold an employee. Contractor type through and through, shoulders squared, voice booming. "Darren, this has gone far enough," he said, before I even offered him a seat. "My little girl is heartbroken. You're going to fix this. You're going to buy a house, marry my daughter, and stop this nonsense about her apartment." I leaned against the counter, arms folded, calm as ever. "No, I'm not." His face turned red instantly. "Excuse me, Victor. Your daughter wants me to buy a house while she keeps a backup apartment. That's not a partnership. That's a scam." He jabbed a finger at me. "It's called being smart. You should be proud she's thinking ahead." Thinking ahead. She's planning for a divorce before we're even married. That's not smart. That's admitting she doesn't trust me or this relationship. He tried another angle. "Look, I know people. I could get you a good deal. Contractor's discount. You wouldn't even feel the hit." I laughed. "I don't need a discount house. I already bought my own property, paid for in my name." That stopped him cold. Behind him, Marissa had been quiet until now. She suddenly burst into tears. Or at least the performance version of them. "I just wanted security. Is that so wrong?" I looked her dead in the eye. "No, wanting security isn't wrong. But expecting me to provide all of it while you hoard your exit plan? That's wrong." Victor stepped closer, puffing his chest like he was about to intimidate me into submission. "Now listen here." "No, you listen," I snapped. "Your daughter spent 4 years with me. I never cheated, never abused, never gave her a reason to doubt me, and yet she still wanted divorce insurance. What does that tell you?" He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him speak. "It tells me she doesn't actually want to marry me. She wants to marry my wallet. She wants the perks of a husband, but the safety net of staying single. That's not marriage. That's a contract where I lose either way." For once, Victor had nothing to say. Marissa's tears stopped just as suddenly as they started. Her face hardened and she spouted out, "Fine. Yes, I wanted security. Yes. I wanted to make sure I'd be okay if things went wrong because that's what smart women do." "And what do smart men do?" I asked. She glared, waiting for me to trip up. I didn't. I leaned in slightly and said, "Smart men don't sign up for a one-sided deal. Smart men don't buy houses for people already planning their exit. Smart men know when to walk away." The silence that followed was heavier than anything I'd ever heard in my life. Victor shook his head, muttering something under his breath, and left. Marissa followed, slamming the door so hard my picture frames rattled. I stood there for a long moment, breathing steady, and then it hit me. That was it. That was the real end. There was no fixing, no negotiating, no compromise. The only thing left was the fallout. 2 weeks later, the wedding was officially called off. Marissa tried to spin it as mutual, but Sabrina's drunken Facebook rant had already blown that cover. Everyone knew she'd been scheming. Everyone knew why it fell apart. And me, I wasn't sad. I wasn't heartbroken. I was relieved. Because she had made one thing crystal clear. She kept her apartment just in case, and I kept my freedom just in time. At first, Marissa went quiet, but then the real fallout started. I heard from mutual friends that she had to give up her car lease. Payments were too steep once she realized I wasn't there to help balance her finances. The apartment she insisted on keeping. Suddenly, it wasn't a safety net. It was a financial chokehold. Between rent, utilities, and wedding deposits, she couldn't claw back. Her paycheck wasn't stretching far. And that's when she brought in a roommate, Kayla. I only knew about her because one night I stumbled across a rant on some local housing forum. Kayla was venting about her nightmare living situation. A control-freak roommate who cried constantly, blamed her ex for everything, and had a boyfriend who practically lived in their one bedroom. I didn't need a name to connect the dots. It was Marissa. She downgraded from dream house with a Pinterest kitchen to splitting an apartment with another woman and her boyfriend hogging the couch. Meanwhile, I was thriving. The condo was perfect. My office had everything set up. Cycling gear, neatly racked dual monitors running smooth, even a small balcony where I could drink coffee and look out over the skyline. The gym downstairs became my routine spot, and the rooftop lounge turned into my favorite place to unwind after long days. It wasn't just a home, it was an upgrade in every way that mattered. And the best part, it was mine. Equity climbing while Marissa drained her bank account into rent for a place she didn't even like living in anymore. Word spread, of course. Marissa couldn't stop telling people I had financially abandoned her. She conveniently skipped over the part where she tried to buy a house behind my back and forge my name on loan papers. People who knew both of us saw through it. Others, they'd ask me directly, and I'd just smile and say, she kept her apartment just in case. I kept my sanity just in time. Always got a laugh. One afternoon a few months later, I ran into her by accident, grocery store of all places. I was walking out with a basket full of basics when I saw her by the produce section. She looked different. Tired, heavier bags under her eyes, hair tied up messily, clothes wrinkled. The kind of look someone has when they're constantly stressed and never catching up. She spotted me, froze for a second, then gave a half smile. "Darren, Marissa." I nodded. "How's the insurance plan working out?" Her face tightened. "You don't have to be cruel. Not cruel, honest," I said, and kept walking. Didn't even slow down. The look on her face told me she wasn't used to people not bending to her narrative. Marissa thought she was outsmarting me with her apartment scheme. She thought she had it all lined up. Backup plan, family pressure, even fake invitations to keep up appearances. But in the end, her plan just exposed her for what she really was. Someone who wanted partnership benefits without partnership responsibility. And me, I came out ahead. I had property in my name, money in the bank, a new girlfriend who wasn't playing games, and a life that didn't revolve around managing someone else's paranoia. A few weeks later, Kayla the roommate posted another rant online, this time about how her roommate's family doesn't even visit anymore and how the roommate was living with regrets but too proud to admit it. I almost felt bad almost. But then I remembered Marissa standing in my kitchen with her color-coded spreadsheets trying to convince me it was balanced for me to pay 75% of a mortgage while she threw rent money at her escape hatch. That memory killed any sympathy instantly because the truth was simple. She got exactly what she wanted: her apartment. She got to keep it, live in it, cling to it like it was her lifeboat. Only problem, lifeboats aren't meant to be permanent homes. They're cramped, uncomfortable, and never the future anyone actually wants. Me, I got exactly what I wanted too: ownership, freedom, and peace. The condo wasn't just a place to live, it was a reminder that I didn't bend when someone tried to play me. I stood my ground and I won. So yeah, Marissa's stuck splitting rent with a roommate and her roommate's boyfriend. She's telling anyone who will listen that I ruined her life. Meanwhile, I'm building equity, enjoying the city view from my balcony, and planning a weekend trip. In the end, she wanted insurance. I wanted a partner. She got her backup plan, and I got everything.